Crusades were a series of religious and political wars in the Middle East and Southeast Europe fought for the control of Jerusalem from AD 1095 to AD 1291. The two main opposing forces in the Crusades were the Christians and the Muslims. The First Crusade was initiated by Pope Urban when the Byzantine Emperor Alexius had asked for help in taking back Jerusalem from the Muslims. Now, the Muslims have been in control for Jerusalem for a while, but when the Seljuk Turks, another Islamic group, had started to invade the Byzantine Empire and take over Jerusalem in the 1050s, the Byzantine Empire was threatened, and pilgrimages to the Holy Land were not possible. The Holy Land was a general place where Christians, the Byzantine Empire, and Catholics believed Jesus lived. So it is very important to their religion. Because of this, the Pope decided to help the Byzantine Emperor to retake Jerusalem.
Another reason the Pope decided to help was because Christianity was currently split. The Clement III had proclaimed himself the Pope, and the Holy Roman Empire had accepted Clement as the Pope over Urban. So Pope Urban used the Crusades as a way to unite the Christians to fight the Muslims. Pope Urban had officially called for a crusade to take back the Holy Land at the Council of Clermont in 1095. In order to convince the people to join the crusade, he said that God willed it, and that anyone who joined the crusades will have their sins forgiven and will be able to go to heaven. Soon all of the assembly was yelling, Deus vult, which means God's will it. Pretty soon, many peasants were rushing to join the Crusades. Many joined because of religions. Some joined to gain wealth, and others joined to escape their troubles at home and seek adventure. A lot of what the Crusades were was pillaging and looting, not only fighting in Jerusalem, but making their way toward the Holy Land or the Byzantine Empire. The Crusades would often pillage and loot villages.
These villages would range from Jewish villages to Muslim villages to Byzantine villages to even Christian villages. Crusaders even massacred the Jews and Muslims in Europe due to their passion. The First Crusade was the only one of the Crusades where the Christians had done what they set out to do: recapture Jerusalem. The Second Crusade was made in response to some Christian territory being taken by the Turks. The Christians had lost this war. This war was made for more political reasons rather than religious reasons. After their failure in the Second Crusade, the Christian empire was weak, which allowed the Muslim leader Saladin and his caliphate to take Jerusalem and some Christian territory. The Europeans weren't able to take back Jerusalem, but they were able to convince Saladin to allow pilgrimages to be made there. This war was mainly focused on religion. The purpose of the Fourth Crusade was mainly to recapture Jerusalem by invading through Egypt. Instead, what ended up happening was the sacking of Constantinople.
What happened was that the Crusaders had set up the exiled prince Alexius to be the Byzantine emperor, but later Alexius was assassinated and a new emperor went into power. When that emperor had told the Crusaders to leave Constantinople, the Crusaders responded by laying siege on Constantinople. The Fourth Crusade was rooted in a lot of corruption and betrayal and didn't really accomplish anything. The Fifth Crusade was another failed attempt to retake Jerusalem. The Sixth Crusade was the only one without any fighting. Instead, what ended up happening were negotiations made for the Christians to get Jerusalem. Sadly, after the negotiations were made, Jerusalem was snatched and taken by the Muslims. The last three Crusades were other failed attempts by the Europeans to retake Jerusalem. In the end, the Muslims came out of the Crusades victorious.
One of the good things that came out of the Crusades for Europe was Europe's introduction to Asia and Africa. Soon after the Crusades, Europe made trade routes with India and China. They also started to explore Asia and Africa. Because of this, Europe had a huge influence in the development of some African and Asian states through colonization, which is one of the long-term effects of the Crusades.